Alright, hold up.
Is this live on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to the YouTubes.
What's up, YouTube? Thanks for checking me out today. A live show. Not really live anymore, after show, but thank you for watching on YouTube nonetheless. Appreciate it. We're cooking up the Instagram live right now. We're about to go on.
Alright, checking connection. 3. Alive.
And we're live. So YouTube after show, Instagram live show. Coach Ben here on the bench. You knew where to meet me, and we're here on the bench once again, Wednesday morning. Got my coffee, because it's the only coffee I had all day. So running a little bit slow, so if you guys ask some questions, I appreciate it. Alright, we'll get the ball rolling. Today I plan on talking about the lat involvement in the bench press, how it's so critical for success, what's actually going on, and then how we can go about training the lats in a very bench specific manner. So thank you for everyone popping in now. Again, we're going to give away at the end a free team lanyard. Ask any of the winners. I've sent them out. I'm not bullshitting. I got the lanyards upstairs in the office, and I am going to put it in the mail this afternoon. Alright, so make sure you're asking questions. Tune into the live show. We're going to pick a winner at random. Alright, so lats in the bench press. You might saw a post I put up this morning on the Big Benchas Instagram. Alright, about how the lats are the most underused, undervalued muscle group in the bench press. Alright, and I stand by what I said there. You know, there's a lot of misconception about how big of a role the lats play. I think it depends who you ask. Very science-based people, because there is some articles out there, and you know, they talk about how the lats don't play as big a role in the bench press. And what I say to that is that's bullshit, because Coach Ben knows that the lats play a huge role in the bench press. I've seen it with athletes. You know, I feel it myself when I'm on the bench, how big of a role they play. But the thing is, guys, the thing is, it's probably the hardest thing to coach, probably the hardest thing to learn. And I guarantee you, any of those people they snagged up off the streets for any of those weird lab things where they're hooking you up with the EMGs, they don't know how the hell to bench press with their lats. So obviously a lot of those results may be skewed, and that's where that comes in. Very few people actually know how to bench with their lats, and even some big time bench pressers struggle with benching with their lats, which is scary, because you could really see how far they could go if they learn that. Very hard concept to get down. The lats, they play a huge role in creating tightness. So last week we talked about how not only to use your leg drive to drive your chest up, keep your body tight, keep that tension from down below, but we also talked about in reverse how to get your back tight, and how we're trying to drive our armpits down to our hips or shove our shoulder blades to our butt. You know, however you want to think about it. That's the role of the lats, right? We're crunching down, we're bending that bar, we're driving our shoulder blades down. I'm lighting up all the way back here, okay? So they play a critical role in creating tightness in the bench press. Really that finishing touch, cranking everything down, making sure you're super tight in the bench. That's creating stability. If you ever want to really gauge how well the lats create that platform and stability on the bench, do some feet up benching. Alright, do some heavy feet up benching on a thin bench, mind you, one that you can barely get your feet to. Then it's all in your lats to create stability and control that bar. Alright, there's no way around it, because now you don't have your feet, so you're relying on your lats to create that platform and stability. Lats play a huge role in the takeout process, dragging that bar out in a position. You might have heard me talk about that a lot. Go on our Instagram, there's a link, alright, in the bio. That's going to give you your free access to the 3-part video series that we filmed called Mastering the Bench Press. And you'll see there's a whole video just on taking the bar out. Alright, very important process. No one really treats the takeout process with any respect. Alright, it's just kind of lift up and go. Lats need to engage it. Alright, it's like starting a squat. You don't want to start your squat by, you know, dipping the knees forward and engaging the wrong groups here. We really want to start the squat by having that tension in our hips. We're going to sit back, load into our hips. Same thing's going on with the bench. If we start this movement with the shoulders, we're going to end in the shoulders. You're probably going to accrue some fatigue over time. You're going to start developing shoulder issues. It's just a big snowball effect of a bunch of bullshit. Alright, so it's important that we're pulling that bar out with our lats. We're dragging it. The shoulders are coming with us. A lot of people will take that bar out and they feel like they're going to drop it, but they're not letting the lats drag their shoulders down with the bar. Alright, big difference. Okay, so lats playing a huge role, taking the bar out of the rack. Alright, not using your shoulders. That's probably one of the biggest things the lats do in the bench press that no one does correctly. And I guarantee those studies, people getting a hand up 3, 2, 1, out of position in their shoulders. Of course, they're not going to have any EMG activity in their lats. Alright, huge role, major role. Catching the bar, that's probably the hardest thing. If anything that's very tough to learn with the lats, it's how to really load into them. Everyone wants to command that bar so much with their arms. Once you can learn to take away the command from the arms and really just let that weight sink your shoulders, settle it into the bench, right? And then you start loading that bar into your lats. Huge game changer. That's going to instantaneously change the way you bench. Alright, so that's what you should always be aiming to do every session if you don't feel that yet. An excellent tool, best tool I've found so far for teaching lifters how to bench with their back is the bamboo bar. So you might have seen this bar. You see everyone hanging kettlebells off bands and stuff from this bar, right? Things bouncing all over. That little vibrating bar there. You might have seen James Harrison. He really popularized it. You see him killing it in the weight room in the NFL. Linebacker for the Steelers, went to the Pats. They lost the Super Bowl. What can I say? But you see him using their bars too. Those bendy, whippy ones, the weights jiggling all over. If you bench with that bar, the bamboo bar, if you command it with your arms, you'll be jiggling all over too. The objective there is to be able to take that weight, load it into the lats, and that's where you're creating your stability. When you're learning to load into the lats, take all that tension off the arms and really just place it where it needs to be. Let that bar weight sink you down to the bench. Bamboo bar, fantastic tool for learning to bench with the back. Alright, so I think I've talked enough right now about how big of a role the lats play in the bench. Do we have any questions on the topic or anything?
We got two things. One's from Jenny Coops. I bench on a commercial bench and it blows.
They do.
I think we gotta get your bench buddy up.
That's a comment then?
That's a comment. The other one is
so commercial bench tips. Alright, you may have seen product we got in development, patent pending, alright? You see a lot of these things popping up. Ours is the best because it's got the foam layer to it too. But commercial gym solution, quick thing, yoga mat, very cheap, bands you can throw across the commercial gym pad. That helps with traction, so you can still set up. But the shitty thing about commercial gym benches, the lip. Alright, you can see competition pad or competition bench here. They keep a very small lip. You can see how that lip's very aggressive. You can see the hooks. That's about a 2-inch lip there. Alright, there's no way you're going to be able to drag a bar out effectively there. You're going to need a handoff person. If you don't have a handoff person, you're pretty much screwed. You're going to be in your shoulders. So you got to get really good at that self-unrack process. If you go to our YouTube, search Big Benchas, self-unrack, unrack, whatever you want to do right there. It'll show you how I teach driving the hips up, creating that decline effect, and then having to, then you can kind of press up while maintaining your position, your tightness with the lats, and then drag it out. But that's just a tough situation. But we're working on helping people like you. We got another one?
Then we got one from Scotty Clark 22. How do you feel about ISO presses?
Scotty Clark, ISO presses. So he's probably talking about isometric press against a pin. I have done those. I have programmed them in for people. I think they are valuable if you have a specific sticking point. I think probably the most valuable of any ISO press would be right off the chest, just because that's typically where people are very weak, all right, and they need to build up that bottom range. So if you've ever seen anything like when people press right into the pin right off their chest and hold it and push 100%, right? You can't sandbag that. You gotta push 100%. to get the real effects. The interesting fact about the iso press is it's going to build strength 15 degrees either way in that range of motion. So you got a very specific range of motion here, right? And 15 degrees above and below that is really where you're targeting with an iso press. But you're not really getting benefits of an end range there. And just for the fact that it's pretty brutal on your joints if you do that often. It's not something I can see people doing too often, because it does bang you up. It puts a big old jolt, pretty much max effort type jolt through your joints. That's typically why I stay away from it for most people. But it is an interesting strategy. Alright, I like the dead presses a little bit more than I like the iso presses. Dead presses, you have the bar on the pins, the safety pins. You'd be laying on the bench, and now you don't have that benefit of the stretch reflex. So you got to generate all that tightness, all that strength to press the bar off the pins, the safety pins. So that's something I'll do regularly in my training. Every training cycle is some dead presses or pin presses, as you could call them too. I set the bar up a little higher up, target the end range for a quick lifter. So I hope that helps valuable. But again, that's why I don't program it. It's like max effort work every time, and it really beats up on a lifter's joints.
We got a question from the Big Z.
Big Z.
NY_Z. Benefits to a floor press.
Benefits to a floor press. I do floor pressing every training cycle. I have my athletes floor press as well. End range for sure, because you're coming down, you're not quite getting to chest level. Right, I don't like seeing people bang their elbows out the floor. That's dumb. That's bad lifting. You're gonna beat yourself up that way. But controlled manner, coming down and then firing through. You can see how that's just end range there, because my elbows are gonna hit the floor. So if someone struggles with tricep strength, mid range of their bench, longer arm benchers, if they struggle, you know, that transition period, bigging up triceps, but the interesting thing I find about the floor presses is I get as big a lat pump on the floor press as I do with any bench and exercise. Alright, crazy lat pump. And that's really, I wouldn't say the only time I get a lat pump benching, but it's a real noticeable time I get a big old lat pump from benching. It feels like I just did a back exercise. Alright, and that's from really go close grip. Usually I'll tell them we'll go close grip with the floor presses. And I'm just sitting there, I'm trying to create as much tightness as I can. I'm lowering. Actually, it's one of the exercises where sometimes I go false grip just to keep the tension in the tris of the lats, and I lift my head up. Alright, I don't tell people to do this on a competition bench, but this is one of those exercises where there's value to it. Tightness, 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 loading to the lats. I watch it down, really feel about that loading pattern. What I'm thinking about, I'm spreading my lats, and I'm trying to run my triceps right into my lats. Alright, and it's going to block me. Okay? So now I can't really get down anymore without weight. And just spreading that lat, running my tricep into a close grip. It's going to get me to right about here. I don't touch the floor with my elbows. I just stay right above and then boom, fire back. So thinking that really allows me that close grip, just the fact that you're on the floor. Now you got your whole back covered by some platform underneath you. You can spread your lats really well. I get an enormous lat pump from that exercise. Works fantastic. Love the floor press. Can do a lot of variations. Add chains, add bands, straight weight, close grip, wide grip, you know, whatever you want to do. Lots of different shit. So I hope that answers your question. Any more?
Yep, we got Rob Mantovini.
Everyone's very active today. This is great.
Oh, today's popping. How about the benefits of overhead press for bench gains? Heavy reps or both?
Alright, so I think we can all quickly agree on how the overhead press is so valuable to the bench. Hardest pressing variation, just by the nature of it. You know, if you kind of go through that progression, the overhead press, toughest one, standing, very isolated in the shoulders. Can't really put as much leg drive into something like that. As we go down the chain, incline, usually can do a little more on the incline, alright? You're a little more flatter. Flat bench, you can do more than an incline. Decline bench, you can do more than a flat bench. So kind of working down that chain of hardness to easiness. And overhead press is up here at the top. So huge value to getting up your overhead press. A lot of people are weak there. If you're weak in the overhead press and it doesn't quite match up to what you're benching, if you hammer the overhead press, your bench is going to go up. Bench is going to go up big time. And if your overhead press is really big and your bench isn't, then maybe you should not have to worry as much about overhead press. See that along with strongman people. They do so much overhead pressing, but if they were to go into powerlifting, they're kind of already set there. They got to work on some other things, so it goes both ways. But overhead pressing, very valuable. What was the question again? Heavy reps versus
or both?
Like lightweight, more reps, or heavy? I would say combination of both. Like anything, you don't want to just stick to one. Everyone reacts a little bit different to each. All right, what I find is a good combination of both is usually the best for the majority of people. So, you know, 1 week going a little bit higher reps, and I like just a regular linear progression. A lot of times how I put it in is something like a 3x8. Then I'll go next week 3x5. Then the next week 3x3. That's when you have a chance to really get heavy. Run through that cycle again, and then at the end of that next one, you could try like a 1 rep, something like that. That's usually how I'll run through it for people, or how I'll suggest it. But overhead press, extremely valuable. All right, and there's a combination of everything. I've done speed work with the overhead press, just like you do with a bench press. Hook up some chains. You need a long, easy loader chain there. Hook up a bunch of chains on the bottom, and then just, you could get really high volume with that. It's like 12 sets. I would go right after the other guy, bang, 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 bang. We'd be done with that in 5 minutes. Good speed work, got a nice pump in the shoulders. The big thing is you got to keep in mind it's a form like anything else. So the overhead press, it's just looking all shitty. You're going all over the place. You got to keep in mind we got to practice form technique. That's what gets lifts up. So making sure you're in a good position, you're tight to the ground, core is braced, firing overhead, finishing over the ears, loading back down nice and controlled, not just dumping. So technique plays a big role as well.
So just stay on the same topic, back to the Big Z. Best training day to incorporate the overhead press?
Best training day to incorporate the overhead press. That is a very tough question because there's a lot of ways to spin it. All right. How I'm currently doing my own training here. So I have my major bench day Tuesday. I'll probably do something like accessory work stuff on Wednesday. Thursday, I deadlift. And then after that is when I start doing some of that work. So I'll go bamboo bar bench. I kind of joke with everyone that I need something to look forward to after doing all this shitty deadlifting. But anyways, the bamboo bar I reserve for after deadlifting. I throw in some of that work. It's more recoverative, you know, I'm not going super heavy. I'm getting a nice light pump. It's going to get me ready for my big Friday bench session too. Overhead press I could throw in that day, or in the past I've thrown in on Wednesday. And this training cycle I've thrown it in after benching on Tuesday. As you can see, I spin it all different ways. And you got to keep in mind too, now this was a big, like, I can't remember who came to the seminar at the gym, but it was a big Russian mentality, like getting your total volume in a certain time period. So it's not necessarily what you do or how you scatter throughout the week. It's just the fact that you got this amount of work in during this week period. And they extend that to really, I got this amount of work in during this 3-month period. All right, so there's like a total volume they're shooting for. And in that time period, they need to reach it. So it's not necessarily, oh shit, I got to do my overhead presses on Tuesday. It's really just get it in during that week period. I at least like to see people fit whatever they're going to do into the week. So if you don't get it in for secondary work on Tuesday, it's not killing you if you throw it in for Friday or whatnot. So you can see how there's such a variable. You can spin it all different ways.
All right, staying on pressing, cream runner, can you demo the JM press?
Demo the JM press, sure.
And then while we're going there, Scotty Clark 22, where can I find one of those hats?
One of these hats, only 3 people have this hat. Scotty, maybe you can be the 4th, but I got one. King Jose and Ronnie, another coach at our gym. I do not, the thing is, it's really a pain. He has to get these. Just because oh no! Down goes Tyson. I knew that was going to happen. Anytime the wind picks up, knocks my freaking clock. We just got to make sure Tiny Meeker's okay, buds.
I think we need a...
I think Tiny Meeker's down.
I think Tiny Meeker's down.
Bench press king is fallen.
Oh.
Alright, I guess that means I'm rising to the top. But anyways, This hat here, yeah, they're a little bit of a pain in the ass to make. I do got hoodies or beanies. I got beanies. And I'll definitely let you know next time I get these in, my friend. And I know you want to get your hands on. I have black and blue. Black and blue hats. Alright, JM press. Now, skull crushers, they bother my elbows. I tend to stay away from. JM press, I can get away with. So really what the JM press is, it's a combination of bench press and also skull crusher. It's like the combo of both. If you had both those things smashed together, you get the JM press. Alright, usually a little bit more favorable on your elbows. You don't have as big a lever arm. Okay, so this is my tricep depth of choice here. JM press. So I'll take whatever grip I would use for skull crushers, really. Alright, probably closer grip here. I'm measuring, so you can see my thumb's out long from the smooth. Alright, make sure I'm low enough on the bench. I don't want to hit myself. So, as in skull crushers, I can't really demo it because I didn't get down far enough. Let me scoot down here. So, skull crusher, you know, you'd be a little bit closer and you'd be coming down here to about the top of your head and extending up. Probably would opt to use a different bar or something, maybe with a neutral grip, something. Bench press, you know, obviously looks like that. JM press, alright, how the JM press is going to roll, we're going to aim about to where our chin is, alright. We're coming straight down, we're over our shoulders, we're coming straight down, our elbows just dipping underneath. Okay, so you can feel, it pretty much feels like a combination of bench pressing and tricep extending. All we're doing is dropping our elbows down. Okay, right here is where I'm getting most of it on my tris. It's kind of like an awkward tricep extension, you know, and all I'm doing, I'm trying to keep that bar path straight up and down, and I'm just dropping my elbows. Alright, so I'm already starting to feel a little bit. You're not going to have to go crazy on the weight for the JM press. Okay, I'm just dropping my elbows straight up and down, bar path. Alright, any other questions? How much time we got? Should I talk about some lat exercises here, guys?
Got about 8 minutes left.
And any questions, Ron? Alright, guys, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those lat exercises we were talking about today, how the lats play such an important role in bench pressing. Well, now I'm going to show you, yes, obviously some of my favorites here. Seal rows. Well, first, before I get into that, let's just discuss how, if you can keep your back training very specific to how you bench, that's hugely beneficial. So, for example, what I'm going to go through right now, the seal row, this is one of those exercises, okay? And then the next one I'll show you, very specific to benching as well. Seal row, it's kind of hard for me to demonstrate here, but I'll just tell you, you'd be face down on a bench, right? Or face down, belly down on a bench. That bench will be propped up enough so you can get, you know, full arm length and grab onto a bar. Alright, we have a bar underneath the bench. Alright, you're face down on it. Bench is propped up, loaded bar. Alright, and then pretty much you're doing a barbell row, but your whole body's suspended up laying down on the bench. If you can kind of visualize that. Alright, we're trying to get our shoulders back, our chest is through, and we're rowing it pretty much right to where we would touch a bench. So the seal row, guys, it doesn't get any more specific to benching as it does with the seal row for back exercises. You're pretty much taking a bench press and then flipping it. Alright, so you're working your back in a very specific manner, you know, same plane of motion, you know, you're going through the same pretty much bar path. We're just targeting different muscle groups because now we're pulling versus pressing, and it's just super specific to the bench press. You see you get a huge carryover. If you're weak on the seal row, definitely something you want to bring up. I was struggling a lot last training cycle with the seal row initially, really having a hard time. And then I put on about comfortably same amount of reps. I put on at least probably 60, 70 pounds comfortably, you know, working at that capacity. So that was hugely important for me. Being able to get the seal row up was a huge game changer. A lot of back strength. You can see the results there. And I really surprised myself. I did not think I would get to that point. But if you stick to it, keep hammering it week after week, And guys, if something's working for you, you don't have to cycle it through in training cycles, you know. Stick with it. We got an Australian lifter on our team, Jack. He's been getting fantastic results on his squat using the safety squat bar. So we're just going to roll with it. This is like the third training phase. We have safety squat bar in there. But hey, it's working for him. He loves it, and his squat's going up. So we just keep putting safety squat bar in. So same type of thing here. If you're weak at an exercise, keep hammering it. Man, you go 12 weeks with that thing, you're going to get some good results. Other exercise that I really love, and this one I can demo for you real quick. Got my PVC pipe. Man, I'm not going to go crazy with the band tension, but I got a mini band here, the red one. Okay. I'm going to put it around the rack. Now again, I'm not going crazy with it, so just show you what I'm getting at. Put it around my PVC pipe. I'm going to take a seat here. Alright. You may have seen this banded row. You may have seen it in my video. But I'm going to get upright, so I'm not leaning back. That's cheating. We don't like cheaters. Nice and tall, upright. See what I do with my shoulders? I'm not slouching out. Get my chest through, shoulders back. Same thing I'm doing on the bench, right? Setting up. I'm going to bend that bar like I would on the bench, right? And you can actually see it bend. This is great. PVC. See how I'm putting that bend in the bar? Watch that, very subtle. Get a good image here, Elvis. Look at that. Freaking bending that thing, right? Line up. And I'm going to touch it where I would touch my bench. Keep bending it. I don't even need band tension. Just bending this thing's tough. PVC is great. You can actually see the bend. And I'll statically hold it. You can hold it for time. Donnie Thompson's big on that. Because how are you benching? On the bench, right? We're getting a pause there. Your lats are acting statically. We're not actively really rolling the bar down. It's a static hold with the lat. So a great way to train it, very specific to bench. I like doing holds with this. Bend it. So instead of just going through it like this, get it hold. And you'll be shaking like a leaf. 30 seconds all it takes. For me, more like 5. Gotta get my conditioning up. But great back exercise, guys. That's all lats, okay? That's all lats, very specific to the bench. Alright, got any questions, Roland?
Nope.
Another one of my favorites, we're talking vertical pulls, is I would hook up. Ooh, we gotta really check out Tiny Meeker. I'm gonna need a whole new frame here. It's about time the big man fell. So, I'll put a D handle. I freaking love these D handles. Right here. Sorry, YouTube. We got all the viewers on YouTube. Your D handle right here. I will sit down. I'm not going to go through it for you, but you can see what kind of handle I love using for this. Right, vertical pulls. I would take a seat, and we're trying to, again, bring our chest up, lock our shoulders back, like we always do, and then I would pull it right down to my chest. I'd get a full, nice, long stretch here. Right down. Right down. Alright? And that's what I'd call a neutral grip pull down. Alright, love that exercise. Lat pull down, I can't go wrong with it. Okay, interesting. You know, we're talking, that was a big thing Brandon Lilly talked about in his seminars. Keep back work specific to what you're doing. So if I'm doing squatting, for example, right, if I'm going to squat, how am I going to do pull downs really relative to the squat? I'm not going to come in front, I'm going to come behind. I'm going to do a behind the neck pull down, right? Because where am I in the squat? Boom, right here. I'm trying to create tightness here. So why not do a behind the neck pull down, boom, create tightness right there. Right? Same shit. We're keeping the back work very specific to what we're doing. So you can see a lot of these, the back exercises I showed you there, are very specific to the bench press. If you're trying to get your bench up, trying to get your deadlift going, you can do a pullover thing, and that's great for benching as well. Learn how to unrack, right? Pullover. Let me get this up here for you. So I'm going to stand it around with my D handle. Right. So, lat pullover. Alright, so we have something here. Pulling it down, which is how we approaching the deadlift. Right? Locked it back here. It's the same thing we're doing with a pullover. And you can do that on that thing as well. Doing a pullover. Okay? So, keep your back work very specific to what you're doing. We got any questions, those?
Nope, but we're about out of time.
We're about out of time, guys?
Yeah, out of time.
All right, we went way over last time, so I'm going to end it up here. All right. So I hope you learned something today. We went over some exercises. I covered some very good questions. I thank you guys for being very active in the live show today. Lats, huge player in the bench. Okay? If you don't think you're really getting the most out of your lats, and I don't think you are, because I'm not even getting a lot. No one's really getting as much as they could out of their lats. All right, I dialed it in right on the end of the last training cycle. Some of my takeouts were feeling a little weird. I knew I wasn't quite in the lats that last training session, guys. And all I'm doing, listen, I'm just taking raw warm-ups. It's just raw warm-ups. I wasn't even training hard, you know. But I'm focused on these things. And I dialed it in right there last session. Unrack right into the lats. I was dialed in. Turned the dial up. All right, I was ready to go. Full steam ahead. But lats, major player on the bench. Next session, focus on them. Creating that stability. Locking the armpits to the back pocket. Dragging that bar out. All right, all those great things. So appreciate everyone watching. Everyone's going to check out on the YouTube later. I'll have it uploaded for you. All right, really appreciate it. We're going to go pick a lanyard winner. Really excited. I'm going to write out your name. Send it in the mail today. You're getting a lanyard, fella or lady, whoever's watching. All right. Thank you for watching our live show, and I'll see you next week.
Sweet. Say goodbye to the YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Bada bing, bada boom. I'll see you next time. You know where to meet me. Wednesday, 11:30 on the bench.